He's witty, he's accurate, and always on the level. Entertaining education from one smart devil.
Hi everyone, welcome to One Smart Devil. I'm back, you're there, I'm here. I'm going to talk about something I saw on the Animal Channel, the Animal Planet channel. I was watching something, and at the end of the show, they showed some blurb about the rainforest disappearing at a rate that was just highly alarming, like hundreds of acres every hour or minute, whatever. And the minute I heard that, my BS detector went, just started going crazy. I thought something was wrong with it, but oh no, my BS detector works quite well. You do know what a BS detector is, right? Just checking. Just checking. This is a family show, so I'm not going to tell you. I went and did a little online research and found out that the National Wildlife Federation said that the rainforests of the Earth are disappearing at the rate of, drumroll please, more than 50 acres per minute. Now, while my detector was going off, I realized that was actually small potatoes. I kept doing more research and finding more numbers. Like this. One source said that an area the size of New York State was disappearing every year. 5,800 acres per hour. That's 96 per minute. Okay, come on. Is your detector working? Are you getting this little issue here? But then again, the Rainforest Action Network really took the cake. They said that the rainforests are disappearing at the rate of 2.5 acres per second. That's 9,000 acres per hour, or an area about the size of Poland every year. Okay? Do not insert your favorite Polish joke here, because this is not a joke. I'm not sure there's really enough bulldozers in the world to even knock that kind of acreage down. It's just insane. Now, who is the Rainforest Action Network? Well, they, like Greenpeace, are one of the many non-profit organizations out there that make their non-profits by soliciting donations from people like you and me and many of those Hollywood celebrities, because they want to save the forest. Because if the rainforests keep disappearing, we won't be able to get oxygen from all that vegetation, and we're all going to die. These environmental groups that talk about this and say these things do it in their own interest. If they said, actually, we did some research and we found out that the rainforests are really not in trouble at all, and that, we don't really need to save anything that doesn't need saving, what would happen to their donations? Why would the Sean Penns and the Hollywood elite stop? Why would they continue to send money to these places if there's not a problem? It's in their best interest to report problems, report catastrophe, disaster, chaos. Now, where do these environmentalists get these numbers from? Is the rainforest disappearing at 1 acre per day, or is it 2.5 acres per second? Now, what is it? Where are they getting these numbers? Well, about half of these estimates come from a Brazilian scientist who used a U.S. weather satellite in 1988 to look at fires that were burning in the Amazon at a particular given time. Keep in mind, this was during a time of government-subsidized deforestation, so these fires are most likely allowed and persuaded to take care of some of the forest. This is done all the time at Yellowstone. What this Brazilian scientist did was to estimate the size of the fires. He guessed at the number of acres he thought that each fire would be clearing, and he also assumed that 40% of this forest would not be returned to its deforested condition. He then multiplied all those numbers by 2. To get an exact number, if you want to call it that. So after he got his numbers and doubled them to come up with an estimate, that number was reported by the World Resources Institute, which is then repeated by many environmental groups and radicals like Al Gore. Upon doing my own research, I came to find out that over 87% of the rainforests of the Earth are still intact. But there's more to the story. I'll get back to that. Oh yeah, and that out of the 12% or so has been deforested, a third to a half of that is growing back like crazy. Which means that up to 94% of all the rainforests of the Earth are still in their original state, or still have as much forest as they always did. over 94%. Oh, and anytime you hear some of these environmental groups talk about the rainforest disappearing, they also talk about the millions of animals and plants and insects that are also becoming extinct because of deforestation. But if you want to have a little fun, get in touch with one of these groups and ask this question. Name me an insect that has disappeared from the earth. Name me an animal that's disappeared. Name me a plant that's no longer here because of deforestation. Ooh, then you're going to run into a problem because they're not going to like that question because you know what? They can't name any. They just like to speak in general numbers that millions of insects are disappearing. Oh, and several of them have the cures for cancer, AIDS, and those Croc shoes, which has still not completely gone out of style and should be illegal. If you want a little proof of that, a guy named Dr. Norman Myers wrote a book back in the year 2000 called The Sinking Art. And he said in the book, quote, "Regrettably, we have no way of knowing the actual current rate of extinction in tropical forests, nor can we even make an accurate guess." But yet, he himself in 1979 predicted the loss of 1 million species due to deforestation of the rainforest. Don't you find it a little hilarious that somebody can say such a thing, but yet nobody can name one extinct species of animal, plant, or insect that's disappeared from the rainforest, and yet they keep saying that millions are disappearing, but they can't name one? Doesn't it sound like they're pining for your money? Gosh, I'm sure a nonprofit organization would ever do that, would they? You see, these key environmental groups have to keep these issues alive or their funding will dry up. I know that comes as a great shock to you that they will say things in order to get money from people, but actually, I'm sorry to tell you, they can, they do, they will. There's also this myth that the rainforests are the lungs of the world, that they take in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen for all of us to take advantage of. The truth is, only their fast-growing young trees take in carbon and breathe out oxygen. And because once these trees get old, fall down and decay, they start taking in oxygen. And should I add, more than they release. See, the environmental groups like Greenpeace, the Sierra Club, Rainforest Action Network, and many more, they're just going to keep telling you this stuff because they know their funding will continue to come. These groups were formed for the whole purpose of exploiting this issue. Case in point, Patrick Moore, one of the founders of Greenpeace, he finally saw the light. Let me give you a quote from him. You can Google this. "The Amazon is actually the least endangered forest in the world." Oh yeah, and the New York Times had an article back in 2009 that stated, "By one estimate, for every acre of rainforest cut down each year, more than 50 acres of new forest are growing in the tropics on land that was once farmed, logged, or ravaged by natural disaster." Now, isn't that special? Yeah, I was a big fan of Churchley back in the day. So anyway, there you have it. You've been lied to about the rainforest. The reason why it's crucial is because you're constantly being barraged by these groups, either by mail or email or by radio, or especially public radio, that if you don't give money to them, we might die one day if the rainforests keep disappearing at the alarming rate they are. Well, they're not disappearing at any alarming rate. In fact, we can grow trees anytime we want to. You know that? Did you realize you could plant a tree and have it grow if we ever need the tree? I don't know. I don't get it. By the way, I forgot to mention, subscribe to One Smart Devil. I will give you lots of tidbits of cool information all the time. All right. Thanks for coming. Talk to you later.